Welcome to Motherhood in ADHD. I'm your friend, Patricia Sen. My mission is to be a lighthouse for mothers with ADHD, helping you find your path to success by learning to appreciate your ADHD as an asset. I'm seeking to change the paradigm that ADHD means your life is doomed to be a hot mess. So I'm sharing strategies and encouraging you in your pursuit of happiness to love who you are every day of your ADHD life. Hey there, successful mama. It's your friend Patricia. I missed you guys so much on my break. Wow. It's been a really good break. It's also been a little bit of a struggle bus, but I'm excited. I felt really restful in the time that I took off over the holidays. And in mid-January, I'm like, all right, let's get back on the horse. I got really sick. For those of you who are new around here, excited you're here. But I have an autoimmune disease, and so I take medicine that lowers my immune system so that my body stops attacking itself unnecessarily. But that means that it also doesn't attack things that it does need to attack, like my sinus infection. So, and part of that is when I get sick, I am sick for a longer time. It's really hard for my body to fight it off, so obviously it lingers longer. And so this sinus infection just took me down. I was really sick for 3 weeks, and then another week I didn't have a voice, and it's been a rough couple of weeks with things popping up. My husband's been traveling a lot. The lady who helps me take care of my kids got the flu. I mean, it's just been a lot. A lot of surprising things, a lot of planned things, and it really made me think about the amount of control I have and the amount of grace that I'm giving myself. So kind of as a foresight, I'm going to be slow rolling here in 2020. One of the things that I've been spending a lot of time on is I volunteered to chair the fundraiser for my son's school. And while part of me is really enjoying it, the other part of me, while I knew it was going to be a lot of time, I don't know that I knew it was going to be this much time. So it's definitely taken up the time that I would spend reaching out to you all. And I was really upset about that for a good amount of time, actually. I was probably upset about it for 2 or 3 weeks, thinking I am letting you all down. And I had posted something on Instagram about it, and someone else wrote, you know what, take care of yourself. We can wait. So shout out to Becca. Thank you for that encouraging word. It was that moment of oh, that's right. The world is not going to end because I didn't put out my podcast when I wanted to do it. I'm sad about it, yes. But also, I have to be realistic in what I am capable of completing in a day. And I know that this was a good choice in helping with my son's school, but I also know that I have to then pull back on other fun things that I like to do. So I'm just going to slow roll here in the next couple of months. The auction is on April 3rd, so everybody pray for me up until that day that it all comes together and goes smoothly, because side note, this is using so many skills that are a struggle with ADHD, between all the executive functioning and the general rejection that you get when you ask people for a donation and they say no. I'm not even that sad about when they say no. What I struggle with is the fear and anxiety that goes into asking the person. And then afterwards, I'm not as upset as I thought I was going to be. I've learned to separate that into something different. But, it's a struggle. I have to work myself up to talking to people and asking for their help, because I don't like asking for help. But anyway, I am giving myself grace in that the next 6 weeks are what they are. I can only control so many things. And so I'm going to do my best to still be there and support you. Hopefully I can do an episode every other week. And then in April, once this auction is over, I can get back to my usual schedule and spending time with you ladies, because I really enjoy it and I hope that it is helping you. So back to my original point is the control that I have over situations and giving myself grace. I love when, I'm struggling with something and God just keeps bringing it back into my life, bringing advice in, bringing the right people in to breathe encouragement into my life. And I know that I need to stop and listen when those recurring themes just keep popping up. And this idea of control and understanding that we do have control over some things, but there are so many things that we are not in control of. That's a really, really long list. And I can only control me and what's going on in my head mostly. I don't have full control over my brain, but I can only control myself. I can't control all the other things. I can't control other people. I can't control what my kids eat. I can put the food in front of them. I can encourage them, but I can't force them to swallow it. I can't control sickness. I can't control how other people react. I can't control so many things. And our small group at church has been talking about Ecclesiastes, and that's been our, study as a whole church. The pastor's been going through that book. And I love the discussions we have on it in our small group because Ecclesiastes is a pretty tough book. They don't exactly know who wrote it, if it was one guy or like a group of guys that polled the audience and gathered all the wisdom of the time together into one book, or if it was just one guy who did it. But I love how my pastor equates him to the State Farm guy. You know, the commercials where the guy shows you this like plaque of something strange, and it's the grizzly bear that gets tangled up in the playground equipment and then comes busting in the RV. And he's like, well, we've seen that, and he has that experience because he's been around the block before and he knows how to deal with those tough situations and where the hope is. And my pastor always says, he knows a few things because he's seen a few things. And the picture he paints of the guy who, in theory, wrote this of he wears the orthopedic shoes, he kind of shuffles around, he's a little bent over, and he's trying to offer his life advice to us. And you can read this book with, what's the opposite of rose-colored glasses? Poop-colored glasses? You can read this book as so depressing about all the things we can't control. And it reminds me of that saying back from high school, life's a bee and then you die. You can read it as, wow, this is really going to be terrible, and we die. But when you read his advice at the end of that discussion, he pulls it together with, yes, life is hard here on earth, but there's hope. There is a glimmer of shininess in there as you sift through the yuck. You can find the good in it. And while I can focus on all the things I don't have control over, that doesn't get me anywhere but a bad attitude. What makes the difference? The thing that I can control is me. I can control the way I approach a situation, the way I think about it, and I can work really hard to change my thought cycle so that it's not that negative downward spiral. And that's what I can control. And I've been reading some really great books over the holidays. I read The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, and I read Grit by Angela Duckworth. Oh, and I did Mel Robbins' Challenge of the Best Decade Ever. I've been filling my brain with hope, with what are the things I can control? How can I make myself better? How can I change my shame spiral into something positive? How do I make myself better? That I can control. And in this few weeks, I have dealt with a lot of junk that isn't great. Even actually as I was getting this podcast ready, my sister-in-law texted me about a death in her family of someone who was close to her. And probably a day or two before that, another one of my good friends was talking about her niece who took her life. And there's been a lot of ugliness, but there's always ugliness. We live in a fallen world where things are not rainbows and butterflies and fluffy kittens. And there will never be a time on this earth that we are not dealing with struggles. So what can I do about the things that I can actually control? What can I do about my thoughts? What can I do about how I approach it? How I can reach out to others and offer light and encouragement and hope? That's what I can control. So I'm going to give myself grace to know, hey, there's things I can't control. I can't control that I had a doctor's appointment scheduled and now my babysitter's sick and I don't have anyone to watch my kid. I can't control that. But what I can do is figure out a solution and not be a sourpuss about it. So this has been a really good month where my struggles taught me a lot. This repeated theme of I can control my thoughts. I can control not necessarily what enters my brain, but I can control what I do with it. Do I let it sit there and fester, or do I let it go? Like I talked a lot about that in my last series with what I learned in therapy. So you can go back and listen to those. I think it was episode 39, 40, 41, 42 in that time frame. You can let go of thoughts that are hurting you. You can make differences. And I'm so excited to share with you all that I've learned about how I can make things better. So I'm excited, so excited about what's coming on the podcast. And I'm excited to share like the grace that I give myself now of, hey, this is a really sticky situation. This is hard. This is rough. It's okay that I'm frustrated. It's okay that I'm sad. It's okay that I'm irritated or angry or whatever those feelings are. That's okay. I can have all those feelings because I'm a human. We should have those feelings. But also, I can't just sit and wallow around for a while. What am I going to do about it? Where do I have that control? Where I'm going to give myself grace. Hey, this week did not go like I planned. But I'm going to give myself grace that, you know what? This week was hard. My husband's out of town. I don't have extra help like I purposely planned for while he was out of town. So my house is a hot mess. My systems are falling apart because it's been 4 weeks of being sick and all this disaster where, if I'm off a system for a week, I pull it back together pretty quick when something happens. But 4 weeks in a row, y'all, I got some work to do. I've got to pull it together. And I'm going to give myself grace for, hey, I couldn't control being sick. I can't control that my husband has to be gone so many days in the last few weeks and upcoming weeks. But what I can control is my attitude towards it. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to sit in my little shame spiral about how could I let my house get this messy? How could I let my calendar turn into a disaster? How did it turn into a dumping ground of thoughts rather than its purpose of telling me where I need to be when? And take that time to breathe. You got to pause and say, whew, okay, what's really important right now? What can I control? How do I move forward? So, mama, all that venting you just listened to is because I want you to know that you are not the only person who gets into the thick of things and beats themselves up and gets frustrated at themselves for not doing things to the level that you want to execute them in the moment. It's okay. We're going to give ourselves grace, and then we're going to have a plan, and we're going to move forward with it. We are going to focus on the things that we can control, not what we can't control. We're going to give ourselves grace when things don't go well, and we're going to make life a little more enjoyable while we do it. So I'm excited to talk to you next week. I already have like 43 ideas running around my head. I need to get them down on paper and choose what are the things that I really want to talk to you about in the next couple weeks. And then come April, I will have my sanity back. No. We're going to word that correctly. Come April, I will have more of my time. No, I don't like the way that is either because I'm trying to put blame on other things. In April, I will have completed this project that I set out to do, and I will be ready to complete the next project. Okay? We have to think about the words that come out of our mouth because when we speak, we reinforce our thoughts and our feelings. And when we know we're being negative, we need to stop and say, whoop, not what I wanted to do. Let me reword that. Here's where I'm going. So, mama, glad I worked through that with you. I will talk to you soon. I hope you have an amazing week, or it could be 2 weeks. We'll see how the cookie crumbles in the months of February and March. And I promise you in April, you will have a more consistent Patricia in your life, holding your hand, offering encouragement and strategies to help you love your ADHD life every day. You successful mama, I love you. Thank you for being supportive. I hope that you have hit subscribe so that whenever I do post these episodes, they show up on your phone and you get to listen to me as part of your day. I can't wait to talk to you very soon. Have a great one, Successful Mama. Thank you for listening to Motherhood and ADHD. For more resources, head over to our website, www.motherhoodandadhd.com.